Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Ajay, and today's tutorial is we are going to understand how to design a form. As I told in my previous tutorial, that was the just the beginning of the tutorial, the start of the series, I mean to say, of MS Access, and in that we have learned how to design a table, and this was a table that we designed. So in this particular tutorial we are going to understand how to design a form. I told you in the last tutorial that for entering the data into a record, we basically provide a form to the users, and the user will be using that form, and using that form he will be navigating through the records, and he will be performing the operations like adding a new record, editing the previous record, and deleting the record. So all these operations we are going to perform in today's tutorial. I'm going to show you how to completely design a form in detail. Okay, so this was the table that we designed in my previous tutorial, and this was the data, and I told you how to do that, how to go to the design view. So, and we had only 1 2 3 4 and 5 fields, and there are only 2 records at this point. And I told you that this ID is basically the primary key, which is the most important field for any table, for any database. So this is very important, and I told you that this has to be the auto number, because duplications are not allowed. So we need to keep this as auto number, and this is how we designed the table. Now let us understand how to design the form. Now for designing the form, the first thing that we need to do is that we need to select the table from here, that is the navigation pane, where we have all the objects. Okay, so we might have this is just a single table, but in a real life application there might be multiple tables, right? There will be many tables. So at this point there is only one table. Okay, so I need to design a form for this particular table. Now MS Access have many templates readily available for you. So all you need to do is just select this table and then go to create option over here, and then you can see there is an option that is form, which create a form that lets you enter information for one record at a time. And this is form design, and this is a blank form. We are not going to use this two, we are going to use the first one. And the moment you click onto this, you can see that this particular form is in front of you. Okay, and by default this form, okay, is open in layout view. Now let me tell you, there are 3 views for a form. Okay, similarly for tables there were certain views like the design view and the data sheet view. In design view we design the form, and in data sheet view, which is in front of you, I told this in my previous tutorial. Now as far as the form is concerned, now click over here and I come back to this form. If click over here and I go back to the table, this is the table, this is the icon of a table, understand it, and this is the icon of a form. So it indicates that this is a form and this is a table. Okay, so now I'm just selected the form, and this is the records in front of you that we had entered. You can see there are 2 records, first and second. You can see the first record out here, and at the bottom you can see that there is a navigation, the record navigation pane, you can say. This is, it says 1 of 2 because there are only 2 records. So at this point the things it is displayed in front of you is the first record. If I want to see the second record, I have to simply just click over here. That comes the next record, and you can see the next record is in front of you. Now this particular view is a layout view. Now there are certain changes you can make in a layout view. Basically there are 3 views. By default this is a layout view. Form view is a view where actually the form runs, understand it. And then there is a design view. Design view is where we are going to actually make changes to our form. Layout view is by default selected, and it actually shows you that how the form is going to look like, and certain things that we can change in layout view as well. And we also can navigate through the records. I just showed you how to navigate. See, this is again the first record, and this is the second record, and over here this is the property sheet. If I close this, okay, and if you want this back, now you have to simply press F4. So if you press F4, the property sheet, that's the property window, you can say, it's in front of you. Now by default you can see this orange box which indicates that this particular ID, this particular field is selected. Now this is not a field, but this is a label. As you can see, the name of this object is label, and if you select over here, this is a text box. You can see over here selection type text box. So these are all text boxes, okay, and the names are displayed over here in the property sheet. And this is a label. You can say selection type, that's the label where you can just display some kind of message for the user. Okay, now this is like everything is pre-designed for you. You don't have to do anything much into it. That is where MS Access has its power, by which you can develop applications in a much faster way. Okay, so now this is the layout view. I can do a lot of changes in the layout view. Also I can completely change the look of this particular form, but we are not going to work on this particular view. We are going to work with the design view. And once you select the design view, again I show right click, give a right click and design view, and that's the design view. Now this is where it's not going to show any kind of data, any kind of records over here, because this is it's a completely a design view. Okay, we need to run this form to actually see the data. Okay, and now over here you can see the property sheet. Again, is the same property sheet. Using this property sheet I can change the colors of the background, and I can have choose the styles the way I want. Okay, but what I'm going to show you first is the thing is, if I run this form. Now how to run this form? Okay, just simply click right click over here and choose the form view. Now this is the form view. Now you can say that this form is actually running. Okay, so it's in a running state. Okay, that's the first thing. Right click, go to design view again, and second way to do is just press F5. If you press F5, and again the form is into it's in the run mode. Again a right click and back to the design view. Now if I run this form, and you can see that this thing over here, this is a record selector. Okay, this is a particular field that I'm selecting. Okay, I can make some changes over here. It is in editable form also. If I select over here, this entire record gets selected. It is not much of the use at this point. We're not going to use this. And then this is a record navigation pane. Now the first thing that I want in my form is, I don't want this and this, the record selector and this record navigation. I don't want this. Simply give a right click, go to design view. Okay, and then now how to select this form. Now you see this is a orange over here, which means that this is selected, this is selected. But if I want to select the entire form, how do I do that? Okay, for that you can see this is the intersection of the row and column over here. This is the small box over here. Just click over here and a small black color box will come down. Okay, will come up, and this indicates now that the form has got selected. Okay, this is very important. Okay, again I will tell you, this is the small box, the black box. Okay, if I select over here, again it goes. Now this particular text box got selected. If I want to select the entire form, again I will show it to you. There's a box over here, click onto that. Now this black box has appeared. This indicates now the form has got selected. Okay, now this is very important. And then you can go to the format. By default it is selected, and then just come down over here, that is record selectors. It says yes. Okay, just click over here and select no. Then the navigation buttons, that is navigation records, to navigate the records, even that is no. And now if I right click, go to form view, and you can see the record selector is not there, and the the navigation of the record pane is also not there. But then how do I use this form? How the user is going to use this form? Suppose if I have around 10 records, at this point there are only 2 records. We will do some data entry, and I have to go to the last record or to the first record or in between the records. How I'm going to do that? Okay, again go back to the design view. Okay, and the first thing that we need to do is, okay, how to actually have this form to entirely occupy your screen, or how to make this form to pop up. Okay, that is what I'm going to show you first. For that, select the form that's over here. Again, I'm showing it to you. Go to others. Okay, and over here that is a pop-up, and down arrow, say yes, and then run the form, right click and form view, and you can see now this form is above this application. Okay, so this is a pop-up form for you. I can also maximize this, and now it has entirely occupied the entire screen. It has occupied, isn't it? So I can close this. If I close this, it will say that do you want to save the changes to the form, that is student. I will simply say yes, and this is the first time that is actually it is saving the form. So I will keep the name as student itself and click OK, and now you can see over here there is the objects navigation pane over here. It will show all the objects over here. So this was the table and this is now your form. If you double click this, okay, you can see now this is in the form view. Okay, again I maximize this, close this, double click it, and the form runs. So easy, right? But the user doesn't have anything out here. There are no buttons to navigate, there are no buttons to perform any kind of operation on these records. So let us just do that. Okay, so right click over here and go to design view. Okay, and now the form will open in design view. You can also do it this way, or you will simply close. Even if it is into the form view mode, simply give a right click and you can see design view, and straight away it will open the form in design view. Okay, so that's how to do it. That's how to make your form to appear to have a pop-up effect to your form. You can have a you can make your form pop up. Now every time I run this, and you can see that this is the size of the form. But what if I want this to entirely maximize this by default? Right now I need to explicitly click over here and then it will maximize. Okay, let us do this first. So I will just go to the form view. Under form view, what you need to do is select the form, go to events, that's the event, and onload event. Onload means when the form is going to load, what you are supposed to perform. If you are supposed to perform some operation on load while the form is loading, on that particular event I am going to perform an operation. Now how I'm going to do that is, and the operation that I'm going to perform is I'm going to maximize this form. Okay, so simply give there is a small dot, don't click on this arrow, just give a small 3 dots, and this window, this choose builder window will appear in front of you. By default there is a macro builder over here. Okay, the macro builder, just click OK, and this particular screen will come down in front of you and it says on load. What I need to do on load is maximize the window. Okay, I'll just show how I got this. You can go through the drop down, there are so many options over here, or you can just type the initials, that is M, and the moment I type M, you can see by default that maximum window comes down. Just select it. Okay, and that's it. Okay, I got 2 of them. Okay, that's maximize window, and then over here there's a small cross, close and say yes. Okay, now what is a macro? Macro is a small piece of code, and macros, we are going to work with a lot of macros in future, and macros also help in execution of the code or execution of the operation. It is pretty fast. Macros are pretty fast as compared to writing code in a function. Now functions, macros, all these terms we are going to come across in the future, and we can also write a complete coding that we can do with the help of VBA, that's a Visual Basic for applications. And by that, with simple Visual Basic, if you are aware of Visual Basic, using Visual Basic we can do a lot of coding for building an application. And in fact we will be doing a lot of coding in future. I'm going to show you everything how to do it. Okay, so right now I have just embedded a small macro which will help us to maximize this window. Now let's see whether this runs or not. I will double click onto this, and now you see it is by default occupied the entire screen, so it's maximized. Okay, now I don't have to explicitly click onto the maximize button, and then it will maximize. Okay, now the user anytime, okay, he clicks on this particular form and it's in the maximized mode, isn't it? So this is how to do it. Now let us go to the design view and perform the further operations. That is the normally the operations that we have is the first is the navigation records. That is the first record, last record, next record, and the previous record. These are the navigation buttons that we need to have onto a form. So for that, what you need to do is you need to go to design view. Go to design view, and over here there is a button that is a command button. Just give a single click and drag and leave it, and the button will appear in front of you. And the moment you do that, there is a command button wizard will come down to you. Everything is ready-made for you, in a way you can say. By default, you can say record navigation is already present, it is already selected. You have to go to first record, the action that I want. If the user clicks onto this button, he will go to the first record. Okay, so click on next, and now I have to choose what I need to have on this button. Should I have a text? So this is the sample it is showing, or should I have a picture? You can see this picture over here, but at this point I will only have a text. Click on next and then give a name to this particular command button. There shouldn't be any space. I will give a name that is first record. Okay, first underscore record, no spaces. Okay, click on finish, and now you can see the button has come in front of you. I will also have one more button, and this particular button says last record. So record navigation and go to last record, click on next. I'll keep that as text. You can see the sample over here, next, and I will name this as last record. Okay, click on finish, and now let us just see this. Press F5. You can also press F5 to run your form. I simply pressed F5, and now this form is in form view, which is in the run mode, you can say. And if I see, by default that's the first record. If I click over here, that's the last record. Now there are only 2 records, I understand. So let us just add a few more records. Go to this table, okay, and I will give some names like Nitin, roll number is 35, class is 6, and section is A. Then one more record I will give, that is Rohan, and then I give the name as 25, and section is B. Now there are 4 records. Okay, I'll just close this, save yes. Okay, now this is the form in front of me, and now I will simply press F5. If I press F5, just select it. If it doesn't run, just click onto that form, press F5, or simply give a right click and form view. Now you see, if I click on last record, and it has gone to the last record, first record, it has come to the first record, isn't it? So now this is quite nicely working for us. Let us again give a right click, go to design view. Okay, now I will show you a shortcut. Now this, every time we have to select a button and do the operations, right? So just simply copy this and just paste it. Okay, and it's over here. Now just drag it over here, and I also show you how to format all this, how to properly align this button. Everything I'm going to show you. And now just give a single click, and you can see it's in editable form. You can just make the changes. I will say next record. Okay, but the operation that it is going to perform is, since I copied this, it will straight away take me to the last record, but I want that when the user will click onto this, it should go to the next record. Suppose I am on second record. Now if I click onto this, it should go to the third record. Now for that, you can see by default when you select that particular button, there is a again on click. When the user clicks, there is a macro which is inbuilt, and that's by default. Okay, just click that small 3 dots again, and over here it will show you this thing, that's on click event. These are the commands. Okay, go to record, and over here it says record, that is last, but I don't want to go to the last record. I want to go to the next record. Okay, so simply click on close, say yes, And now just run this code in form view. Let's run the form in the form view, and you can see first record. Now if I click over here, that's second, third and fourth, you can see the records over here. And one more button that we require is for the previous record, isn't it? So come to the back to the first record. If I click this, and you can see this, right? So give a right click again and just copy this. I'll simply use Control C and Control V, that's it, and come back over here, and then I will type this as previous record. Previous record, go to the macro, give us click on the small three dots, come to the record, and over here from the drop down select the previous record. Over here close, yes, and run this form. You can also run this form from this option. Again I will show you. Okay, so this is the form. You can see the views over here, or right click from here, or simply you can press F5 and still it will run. Now this is the first record, that's the last record, and you can see the previous. Okay, I just forgot to write previous record. Okay, so click over here previous, and you can see it going to the previous record. Okay, just forget this at this point, and first record, last record, next record, everything is working quite well. Okay, so this is how to design a form. Now I'm just cutting this short for this particular tutorial. In my next tutorial I'm going to show you how to design the entire form in a professional way. Okay, and also these are just the navigation buttons that we had. In my next tutorial I'm going to show you how to have the CRUD operations. CRUD operations means how to create a record, read a record, delete a record, update a record and delete a record. So that's the CRUD operation. CRUD. C stands for create, R stands for reading the records, U stands for updating the record, making changes to the record, and D stands for deleting the records. All these operations and how to add a new record, all that buttons we are going to have over here, and that is what I'm going to do in my next tutorial. Okay, so stay tuned for that. And if you think you have gained some knowledge out of my tutorial, do subscribe to my channel. Okay, bye for now.